Welcome to this quick demo from Cloud Design Box about how you can use SharePoint and Teams to streamline communication and collaboration in your organization. So we'll start off in SharePoint and talk about the communication aspects. So there'll be certain things in your organization we need to communicate to large groups of people in your organization. So it might be things like staff handbooks, company policies. It could be things like leave request forms and other resources that they need to download. And it could just be general news and what's happening, new people that have joined the business, who works in each team and what those teams do. And SharePoint's a great tool in which you can use to do just that. So it's a bit like an internal website where you're just publishing to your employees. So this is a quick example on the screen now. So we've got welcome to Cloud Industries. We've then got some news articles on the page, and I can click through to those news articles. I can read all the text and see all the images that we put on there. We can create some really rich interfaces that are really easy to use. We can add some text, some videos, some news, some resources, a search box, and again, this depends how you're going to use it in your organization, what sort of information you're going to be publishing. But it's really flexible. You can edit these pages, you can create your own, and you can add that rich content to create that nice immersive experience. Across the top, we've got the organization logo and colors and a mega menu, which drops down and shows me all the areas across the organization that I have access to. So some of these might be communication areas, such as human resources and finance and marketing. And by communication areas, we mean areas that most people can access in the organization to find out a bit about that department or a bit about that particular aspect of the business. So it might be the case that you've got a marketing department, but nobody really knows how the organization is being marketed externally. And again, this would be a great place for them to promote that. They could promote all the exhibitions that they're doing, or the marketing material that they're working on, who works in their team. And that's a great place to put that information. Another example might be human resources, where you might have a team of people that not everybody is familiar with. They might need to approach them and to ask them information, and this is a good place to advertise that. So we can see head of HR here, we can see all the other people inside the HR team, and again, it gives us a sense of communication that this particular part of the organization, this department, is publishing a bit of information about themselves. We can also see important documents down the right hand side, so we might publish some policies, some sickness forms, holiday requests, and again, people can go into those libraries and they can download them from that central location. So the other aspect of this is the collaboration sites, and these are available both in Microsoft Teams and SharePoint, and these will be eventually to replace some of those long-term file shares that you might have on-premise at the moment. So any sort of network shared folders, ideally they go into Teams, they go into SharePoint, and then you can get all the benefits of moving to the cloud, as well as making great savings on things like your internal IT infrastructure, renewing servers, licensing, backups, but also with all the benefits that you get from moving to the cloud. So a couple of benefits that you might not be aware of inside SharePoint. If you've got anything to do with compliance, maybe some particular compliance rules that apply to a certain department in the organization, you can apply compliance rules to any of these sites in SharePoint. So for example, you might need to keep your financial documents for 7 years before they get deleted. So we can easily apply a retention policy just to the accounting team site. So no documents inside that team can be deleted for a minimum of 7 years. And it might even be the other way around. You might have some sensitive customer information that if it's not updated for 2 years, maybe you then want those to be automatically deleted and tidied up. And again, you can apply those policies if you've got a nice, well-structured site. And when it comes to planning out these sites, we sit down with you, one of our consultants will sit down and go through the structure of these sites, and you can then have a look at your own internal structure and decide how you want to plan these out. But if we go into one of these as a quick example, if I go into the accounting team, you'll see this is a SharePoint view of it. I can access all the same documents that I can do within Teams. It's just another way in for staff. You might have some staff who maybe adopt this a bit better. And from within this library here, I can see all of the documents. I can create brand new documents inside here, so I don't need Office on my machine. I can just do it from anywhere on any device, or I can drag and drop them in here to upload them. But the idea is that this is the one version of the truth. This is where all your files are going to stay. And actually, if you wanted to share them with somebody, so for example, if I've got a report in here and I normally email that out to a few people for some feedback, instead of doing that, and the problem with sending out an email is that there's then multiple versions in everyone's outbox and inbox. There's no single version of the truth. So what I can do is I can just click the share button here, type in the name of the person I'm sending it to, type in what the email is going to say, please review this document, and click send, and that will send them an email with a link to this document that they can then log in and they can edit and update for me. Or I might write my own email and just grab a link and use it within the email, and I can grab and copy the link that way. So the idea is you're not sending files back and forth, there's just that one live version of the document. And actually some of the other benefits of having it inside SharePoint is that actually more than one person at one time can actually edit the same document. So I can open up this document and I can edit it at the same time as somebody else. So hopefully saving you a bit of time, streamlining some of those processes that might have slowed you down in the past, such as emailing a document to somebody, they email it to somebody else, they email it to somebody else, and not only is it messy, but it also takes a lot of time. So those are some of the benefits of having your documents inside SharePoint. Some of the other quick benefits is if anyone makes a mistake to any of these documents, there's always a version history. So I can go back to up to 500 versions of every document, and I can quickly restore back to an early version if a mistake is made. If a document's deleted without even calling IT for help, I can just go into the recycle bin myself and I can restore that document for up to 3 months. And that'll put it back into its original location. So lots of time saving things there that's really going to help people and get a lot of benefit from it. The other aspect of this is the search features. So I can search across not just the entire library, but I can actually search across the entire organization as well. And this will help you with things like GDPR. So if I had a subject access request, I can search the compliance center and get a review of those. Even if I'm just searching for a document, not only does it search the document itself, but it'll also search inside that document. So not just the title, but the contents of it. And this will help when you're looking for, a document that isn't necessarily named correctly. There's also tagging in here as well. So we'll definitely recommend tagging options so you make it more scalable. In the long run, you want thousands, millions of documents inside these libraries and it's still to be usable. So actually tagging documents, making them more searchable is definitely beneficial, and it's something that we recommend. Now, if anyone wanted to work offline, so say they were going on a train journey or they were going to go somewhere temporarily with no network connection, they can just press the sync button and I'll sync a copy of this library onto my machine. I can work offline, and then when I next connect to the internet, it'll sync back up any changes that have been made. So this will really help you if you've got remote workers or people that work on site in locations with poor internet access. Now, you may already have lots of teams created inside your organization, but what's important to consider is how well governed they are. So do you have those rules in place? Is there one place where you can easily access those? Are they easy to navigate between? Because it's great for individual projects if you spin up a team, but when you come into organizational teams, it is important to get that governance right so you can keep track of it, and also that sensitive documents can be kept secure. So if people accidentally create a public team, it could make some sensitive documents available to other people, and also you have no idea what those sharing policies are on those sites. So it might be the fact they're open to external sharing or they're not. So it's important to have that process in place internally so you can create some of those teams on behalf of the organization, and you have an approval process in place to do that. So also in this menu, I've also got some regional office locations. These again are communication sites. They're so people can find out what is happening in those offices around the world. Now, if we quickly hop over into Teams, and we have a look at the accounting team, what you'll notice is if obviously I can have my online meetings here, I can have chats in here, I can discuss topics with people, I can call people inside Teams. But under the Files tab of the accounting team, I can access exactly the same documents that we see inside SharePoint. So you can either use SharePoint or Teams, it doesn't matter, you can get the best of both worlds. And for some staff, Teams is a bit overwhelming because there's lots of teams in no particular order, whereas SharePoint is a bit more of a traditional website structure. Now, one place where it gets really interesting is how you can join up all of these sites. So you might have a finance communication site, but within finance you might have the accounting team with their own private area, you might have a payroll team with their own private area as well. And what we can do is we can hub together some of those sites. So under finance, I can search across all of the finance sites, but only the sites that I have access to. So finance is, if the top level finance site is available to all staff, so they can download important forms, find out what's happening in finance, then they can just see that site. But if I'm logging in as a member of the accounting team, then I can also see the accounting team site as well, and maybe the payroll team site if I'm in that team. So just going over to our website and the business solution page, one thing that's really important is to make sure that you have a good long-term strategy in place to use it well over the long term. So you might find that whatever solution you put in place, if you don't have the strategy and the training plan there, then it's unlikely to be used to its full potential. So with our gold and platinum packages, we focus on user adoption and making sure that it's used well across the entire organization, and to make sure that you get your money's worth from any investment in SharePoint or Teams. So with the gold package, not only do we do the initial consultancy with you to plan out the sites and make sure that you have the right plan in place, but we also do a user adoption strategy, and we also provide some training to staff. So it might be end users or it might just be content editors, but it tends to be in smaller groups of people, so you can train people up to a higher level and make it interactive so they can actually gain some confidence using the system. So normally there'll be a training needs analysis to put people into the correctability groups, to put them on the courses that are going to be most relevant to their particular department or job role, and then provide them with those training sessions and then feeding back to you on how the user adoption is going. So it might be the fact that they've got some issues using it, there might be some problems, but again, that information, whether it's good or bad, we can then feed back to you, and that can go back into your long-term digital strategy. It might be the case you're moving too fast for people or too slow, but again, it's about having that constant feedback loop, so over the long term you can bring everybody on that journey with you. And the same for the platinum package, except we do more on-site or online training days, and we also do a personalized video training recording as well. So you can have that recording on your site, so when you're onboarding new employees in the future, they can go through exactly the same training that staff previous had, or staff could just use it as a bit of a refresh as well. So I hope that's giving you a good overview of what we do with SharePoint and Teams and how we can make it work really well for your organization. And if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. The contact details are on the screen now.